Hello, guys. Welcome back. Uh, Last time we were discussing functions, and today we will be discussing variables. So let's go ahead. As usual, I'm going to create a new file here by clicking on this new file button and give it a name variables.cpp. Okay, now it's opened up. And for simplicity's sake, I'm just going to copy and paste our code from last time. Okay, so a quick copy paste. All right, there we go. I hope this much was clear to you, and if not, then you're more than welcome to go ahead and watch my previous video so that you can understand what we did and why we did what we did. Okay, and now let's talk about variables. So, in this program, we have three variables: int number 1, number 2, and number 3. Again, I discussed the naming conventions last time briefly, but I did, so I hope you remember those. Now, you may have noticed last time, and even this time, that these variables have been declared outside any function. They aren't even in the main function. They're outside everything else. Right? Now, yes, sometimes you may see people declaring variables inside the main function, as we did over here. In this program, we declared them inside the main function. And here, I declared them outside any function. So what do you think is the difference? Can you tell me? I mean, of course, you can't tell me because this is YouTube. But what I want you to do is pause this video for a moment and think about what's different between declaring variables outside functions and inside functions. Okay, you don't just think about it. It's a thought exercise without looking it up on Google. Come back when you've thought about it. Okay, welcome back. I hope you did give it an honest thought without doing any searches on the internet. So yes, there is a difference, and the difference is when we declare variables like this, they are called global variables. Okay, and global variables, now I know you're wondering why they're called global variables. Does it have anything to do with, Earth? But technically speaking, no. But let me explain why they're called global variables. Okay, and this has something to do with scope. Nope, not that scope. This is a different scope. Okay, so when you declare variables outside any functions, it means that they are accessible for all the functions that are there in your program. So when I have done this, right, that means, and you can probably see that I am able to access them inside my input-output function. I am also able to access them inside my logical part function. And if I wanted to, I could go ahead and access them inside my main function as well. There would be no issues. Why? Because they have been declared outside any function. And that's what makes them global. So that's why it's called global, because they're available everywhere in your program, wherever you want them inside your program. They're there for you. Now, if you remember in our previous video, when these variables were inside this logical part function, they were unavailable anywhere else. Let me show you that. I'm just going to cut this from here and let me put it in my, okay, let's not even put it in the input output function. Let's put it in the main function. Let's see what happens. Okay, I've declared them inside my main function, but now as you can see that there are red squiggly lines all over the place. And in VS Code, red squiggly lines indicate that it's an error. There's something wrong. Let's see what the tooltip tells us when I place my cursor over it. It tells me that identifier number 3 is undefined. Peak problem. Identifier number 3 is undefined. And the same goes with number 2 and number 1. That means that it's not able to find where we have declared our variables, even though they are right here. Okay, even though they're right here, this function, this particular function And even this particular function is not able to find the definition or the declaration of our variables. Because when you put variables inside a function, any function, okay, they become local variables. All right? That means those variables are only accessible inside that function. They cannot be accessed anywhere else. And that is also what I mean by scope. Okay? Scope means how long a variable will be kept in memory. So global variables will always be kept in memory. Or, okay, not always, but global variables will be kept in memory as long as the program is being executed. Okay, so for the duration of the program. Whereas local variables, that means when you declare them inside a function, will only be kept in memory as long as the function is being executed. So there's a difference between a function executing and a program executing, right? I hope you know that. A program may contain several functions, but a function cannot actually contain a program. So that was that, right? So let's just put them back to where they were. Okay, and now the errors should go away. And I hope you know now why the errors have gone away, because these can be accessed everywhere. So remember that global variables and local variables. It's very important that you remember what this concept is, because you will be using it throughout your programming career or programming life. Okay. Now, when it comes to function parameters, that is a simple alternative or a simple way of doing things. You don't necessarily have to do it, but you can if you want to. So what it means is you declare a variable inside the circular brackets of the function. So suppose we have this void input output, right? I can go ahead and type integer value. And we can have more than one. But the thing is, when you have more than one, you can't just write comma and then give the name. You have to specify the data type each and every time. Okay, so we can also have int another value. Right? Yes, the error's gone away. But there's still some problem, isn't there? Oh, yes. Let's address that. So now I have put two variables inside the circular brackets of my input-output function. This is what is called as giving parameters or giving arguments. Okay. When you define a function like this, then at the time of calling, it expects some values. Since we have defined integer variables, it expects integer values. So I need to do, and these are random numbers. They don't have to be, 5 and 6 isn't anything specific, just random integer numbers, because these are int variables. So this just provides a functionality, increases freedom for the programmer. You can do it like this. And yes, when you declare your variables like this, that means these variables will only be accessible inside this particular function. So variables declared as parameters are local variables. All right. Now there's something more. Suppose you have an if block like this one, although this is not technically a block because it's just one line. But if you declare a variable inside an if block, so inside something like this, okay, if you declare a variable, let's just call it x example for now. If you declare a variable inside this if block, this variable will only be available inside that if block. It won't even be available to the rest of the method. Okay, see, let's try that. let's try to access this example. Let me just example equals 5. If I go ahead and say example, okay, first of all, my tooltip isn't even recognizing that there is a variable example plus plus. If I was to do that, it's going to give me an error. It says identifier example is unidentified, because again, this was declared inside this if block, and the same thing goes for your while loops and your for loops. So we haven't discussed those yet. If you know about them, very well, but know this, that if you declare variables inside a while loop or a for loop, they won't be available anywhere else, only inside those pair of curly brackets of the for loop or the while loop. Same goes for the if block. All right. Now, I hope this was clear, and I know this was a shorter video, but anyways, I'll see you next time. And remember, if you are going out, please wear a mask. It's very important that you do. I will not have a subscriber or a viewer of mine being seen in public without a mask. Okay? If you liked the video, hit the like button. Do you like clicking buttons on the internet? Well, then I've got a button for you. It's red and it says subscriber. So click the subscribe button if you like clicking buttons. Just click it, okay? Thanks for watching the video. I'll see you next time.